Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com, and we are here today with lesson number 11 in our incredible new tutorial series where you are teaching the robots who's boss. I'm going to need you to pour yourself a nice big mug of iced coffee. That would be strong black coffee poured over ice. No sweeteners, no sugar, none needed. I will also need you to get out your robotic gear, and as you are getting your gear out, as always, I want to give a shout out to you guys who are helping me out over at Patreon. It is your encouragement and your support that keeps this great content coming. You guys that are not helping out yet, look down in the description below. There is a link over to my Patreon account. Think about hopping on over there and hooking a brother up. But enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's jump in and let's talk about what we are going to learn today. We are going to take a look at the homework that I gave you in lesson number 10, which was to take your handy little remote and start controlling your smart car. And I believe the assignment was that if you press the up button, you were to go forward by a foot, the down button backward by a foot, and then left and right turns, and so that you could kind of start driving this thing with the remote. Did you guys have any success with this? Were you thinking like engineers? There might have been some little difficulty in there, so let me know in the comments down below or in the chat whether you guys were able to get this done or not. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to step through it and show you how I did it and show you how I kind of think about things. So now right off the bat, what I am going to do is hop over here to my code view, and I will also get out of your way. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to kind of figure out what the codes are for the remote. So before I really start coding, I need to know what signals are coming from the remote. And we can do that pretty easily with the result that we ended up with last week. And so let's go to the most excellent www.toptechboy.com, and then let's search on robotics training lesson number 10. You can just use the convenient little green search icon, search on robotic training lesson number 10, and you come down here to this really simple code that we ended up with last week. I'm going to control C. Then I am going to come over here to a brand fresh new bare minimum Arduino IDE, and I'm just going to do a control A and then a control V because you already understand this code. We went over it last week. So if I download this code into the smart car, then I should be able to start writing down what the codes are for the remote, the IR signals coming off of it. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to make sure the car is off just because I hate it when this thing drives off in the middle of a lesson, drives off the table. That would not be good. So let's go ahead and download this. It's looking pretty happy. I think it's going to work. Okay, it looks like it downloaded. I am going to open up the serial monitor. Okay, I think you guys can see that pretty good, right? I believe that is something that you can see. Now I'm going to get the remote. I'm going to kind of point it in the direction of the IR sensor, and I'm going to click the up button, and it looks like that. And now let's see here. I will go to a slightly different view here. I got to create a little chart of what we are dealing with. And so let me get a nice pen here. This is going to be kind of tricky. I hadn't thought about that disappearing, but it's FF629D. So I'm going to get FF269D, and that was up. All right, so we'll make a little list here of our commands, and I'll tell you, I do not like this having to click back and forth, but I hadn't thought that this would disappear on me. Okay, and I just want to confirm that, so I'm going to hit it again just to make sure. Okay, and make sure that I'm pointing at the receiver. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong button. thumb was on the wrong button. Okay, so FF629D, FF629D, FF629D. So that does indeed look good. And I am just not going to be able to operate like this. I am going to have to put this where I can see both at once. So if you give me just a second to do some Windows management here. Okay, so I think I can fix it where we can see both of these at the same time. Okay, so that looks pretty good. We have up is FF269D. I'm just looking at it because I want to be careful. All right, now I'm going to press the back key. And when I press the back key, again, I get kind of a confusing thing. I'll hit it again, and I get a good number. So I get FFA857. FFA257. FFA. I did not even write that down right, did I? I am not at the top of my hexadecimal game today. Let's try it again. Back. FFA. FFA. And then 857. 857. And this is down. And then I need to get right. And I need to get left. All right, so let's go right. That looks like another strange one. Okay, FFC23D. FFC23D. I'm going to try that again. FFC23D. Okay, you see that if I'm not pointing right at it, I'm kind of getting an erroneous signal. So you see, I've got to make sure that it is pointing at it. And then I get the FFC23D. Okay, and then finally I'm going to get the left. And the left is FF22DD. So the left is FF22DD. All right, so one of the things that as we're playing with this that I want you to notice is that if I'm kind of coming from the front and not pointing at that little black window and I hit like the right, you see I can get a strange signal. It's almost like the light is bouncing around and it's getting a spurious signal. I really need this where it's pointing at the window, and then you see it's very reliable. That was a repeat, so that one was okay. But you see, if I'm coming from the other side, right? If I'm coming from the other side, I can get that 20FE4DBB, and that's probably seeing multiple signals, like it's kind of bouncing off of things. And so one thing that we notice here is we really need line of sight. We need very good line of sight. And if we look at the sensor itself, the IR sensor is sort of, let's see, it sort of has a silver part like this, and then it has that little window or that little eye on it like this. And you really need the remote over here pointing towards that eye. Like that, okay? And what seems to be happening is, it seems to be, if we are over here behind it, and shooting at it, it probably comes this way, it bounces off of something and comes back, and then you start getting these strange readings. And so if you start looking at it and you're pressing the button and it's not doing anything, number one, ask yourself, are you too far from it? This has maybe a 7 or 8 or maybe a 10-foot range. Are you too far away? And then the second thing is, can you see the little window? And what do I mean by the little window? Let me show you on the IR detector. Here it is. Okay. You see, you want to be pointing at this part here. Okay, you want to be pointing at this part here, that little black part. If it is like this and you're pointing at it from the back side, if you're pointing at it from the back side, it might be hitting this and then bouncing back and might not be working right. All right, so the kind of like the takeaway here is that this is fairly low power, it's fairly short range, and it really needs a straight line of sight. Okay, but what we do have now is we do have our numbers. All right, and I really wish I'd written them neater, but I just am not getting my inner Bob Ross today, and I am just not terribly neat with this graphics pad. But I think that's good enough for us to start coding now. Okay, so we kind of know what's what. All right, now if we're going to start coding, we're going to need a shot of coffee. We're going to need a shot of coffee. And now what we are going to need is we are not going to need to get a good view where you can see what I'm doing nicely. And I think at this point I can go back to www.toptechboy.com. This was the work that we did last week, and this will be easy enough to add in. But what we really want to do is we really want to go to lesson number 9. And let's see if I have lesson number 9 up here. Nope. I do not have lesson number 9, and so I will have to take just a second to get to lesson number 9. I will grab this, copy, search, paste, the most excellent lesson number 9, and let's see if it comes up here. Why did that take me to lesson number 3? I know what I will do. I will just come over here and go to my dashboard, and I'll get to it that way. The reason I'm struggling with it a little bit, this is actually, I'm making this video before lesson 9 is published, and so I've got to go into my dashboard to do this. But all you guys have got to do is you've just got to come to this and search on lesson number 9, and you'll get here. And this is all of that code for controlling the car. So we're going to get this and we're going to copy it. And now we're going to come over here to our bare minimum. I'm going to select all, and now I'm going to paste over what I had before. So now this should be the stuff to make the car go. Remember, we can make it go forward, backward, left, and right just based on commands. But now we got to go in and build our IR code into this. Okay, we've got to put the IR code back into it. But that should be pretty easy. So I'll come up to the top. And then on top of all this stuff for controlling the motors, I'll come in and I'll put our IR stuff. So I'm going to put in a pound include, and then I will include what? I will include IR remote.h and no semicolon after that. And then we got to set up our IR pin, so that will be IR pin, and that's going to be pin number 12 because that's just the way the robot is set up. I think for right now I can come to this view. That's how the robot is set up. It's hardwired to pin number 12, so that's not a choice. You just got to use what it is there. And then we need to actually create our IR object by saying IR REC IRCEV, that's kind of hard to say. And then we're going to call our IR object IR, and then we got to tell it where to connect, and that is on IR pin, which we just set up. That is looking good. Now we've got to give an object to get the results into, and so that's going to be decode underscore results. That is a library command. You have no control over that, but I'm going to, my object for holding the commands is going to be CMD. So I can choose that. I choose CMD. Now we come in and we do all of this business associated with running the motors, and our next real action is going to come in the void setup, where we've got to kind of turn the IR detector on. And so now we're going to go IR dot enable IR I-N. And man, this is hard because it's lowercase enable. It is lowercase enable. It is uppercase I-R-I, and then it's lowercase n. And you really want to make that last N uppercase, and it's very hard to find it. If you do that, find your mistake. Okay, so we will do that. Don't have to pass in any parameters. We want to blink the light so we can see if it's at least hearing the remote. So we will turn on our fancy little blink the 13 pin. We're going to set that to true. So if it sees a signal from the IR, it will blink that pin. That is looking pretty good. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we need to do in the setup, and I don't believe that there is, so that we can come on down to the void loop. We still want to declare right value. That's good. We want to set the velocity, and I'm happy with the velocity being 1.2 feet per second. Once you set the velocity, it then calculates the right value to make the car go at that speed. Okay, that's good. Then we also can kind of set left and right separately in case we wanted to, run them at different speeds later. We're not using that right now, but we're still carrying it along because maybe in the future we will. We will then set the speed to the 1.2 feet per second by passing it left and passing it right. And then here where we begin to say, okay, I want you to go forward 5 and all that, we don't want to do that anymore. What we want to do at this point is we want to listen. We want to listen for an IR signal. Okay, we want to listen for an IR signal. And so what we are going to do is we are going to do what we learned last week. To listen, we will say while, and then while IR.decode, and it turns red because orange because it recognizes it. And then our object was CMD, and so we're going to look at and CMD, and that's just looking at it by reference. I don't want to go into that, but it's just a way of addressing a variable by reference. And so we'll do that. So if decode is equal 0, what does that mean? That means a button has not been pushed. If a button has not been pushed, you just want to sit there and loop and not do anything. So you want to kind of hang here. And I make note that that did close my curly. And so what it's going to do is just going to sit here and it's going to continue to loop until it sees something. All right. Now, once it sees something, it will read it because it'll be in that CMD. Okay, it will be in that CMD variable. And so let's go ahead and print that serial.println. Okay, what do we want to print? CMD value. That will be where it puts it, and then we want to print it as hex. Okay. I think I want to download this and just see if it's going to work. First of all, see if we have any errors and just see if it's gonna do nicely. What is that? Decode results doesn't like that. I forgot my semicolon. Did you guys catch that? Rookie mistake. Okay, let's try again. That's looking good. Okay, I'm going to call up my serial monitor and just make sure I have these things in here right. Let's see, I will go back to this view so that you can see. All right, so I'm going to press, and where is the front? It's back here. Okay, I'm going to press forward, and I get FF269D. That looks good. I'm going to press left. All right, I guess I should make sure where we are. It's up, down, left, right. Okay, so up gives me what I want. All right, down. It did not see. I'll try it again. Doesn't seem to be picking these up. Let's see. Let me try again. Seems to have kind of hung after the first read. I know why it hung after the first read. Let's go back and look at our code. We've got some code in there at the end that I hadn't thought about. Right, so at this void loop here, it hangs here, and then it gets a value. When it gets the value, it prints it. But then remember when we were just giving stacks of commands, we had another hang down here. We want to take that hang out because we want it to come back and get the next command now. So that actually makes sense. It kind of scared me when that didn't work. But we got to the bottom of it pretty quick. All right, so now we'll open up the serial monitor. And again, it is going to be up, down, right, left. And so let's look at this. I will do up. Whoa. Okay. Another command we forgot is that after we read it, we've got to kind of reset. You remember what we did last time? We did an IR resume. So we're going to read it, we're going to print it, and then we're going to tell it to start listening again instead of just looping on the old command. And so that was the old IR.resume, like that. Okay. And so now it should start listening again at that point. So let's download that. That first one scared me, but we are doing okay here. Okay, so let's go forward. Let's try forward again. FF629D, that looks good. Back is FFA857. I held it down too long, and that's because we don't have a delay in. All right, but I'm not going to put a delay in because we're going to be out doing things, and so we don't need to put an extra delay in. But that 857 is right. Now I'm going to press the left button, and I get FF22DD, the bottom one, that's right. And now I'm going to press right, and that did not point well, and that now is FFC23D. Yes, that looks good. But you know, you guys, when you see these error ones in here, you see that you've really got to be pointed at that little window, and if you're not pointed at that little window, you're going to get an erroneous signal. If you get an erroneous signal, it's not going to do anything. But the good news is we have got these commands where they are going over there and getting in if we will point carefully. Okay, so now what we got to do is now we have to kind of decide what are we going to do based on the signal that we have. Well, what do we use? We would use if statements. So then we would say if, and I'm going to bet you guys struggled with this, if cmd.value, that is the value that it picked up from the remote, right? That's what we printed up here. You probably did something like if cmd value equal, you probably said something like FF269D, right? And let me just put kind of a blank if statement in here. You probably did something like that. And then when you came and downloaded it, it says it was not declared because when it just sees FF, that looks like a variable. That looks like a variable named FF. Well, then you see, it's looking for a variable. Maybe I should make it a string, okay? And then let's just put in here serial.println, and we will print, I'll just say forward, okay, because that's what we want to do here. So we just want to see if it gets in here, right? So now when you do this, probably you did something like this, and then it didn't crash. I mean, the program didn't crash, and so you probably felt pretty good. And then you sort of give it a forward. Let me turn this on. Turn the serial monitor back on, and you give it a forward. And you're getting the forward command all right. You're getting the forward command all right, but it's not going inside that if statement. Why is it not going inside the if statement? Because cmd.value is not a string. It is a what? It is a hexadecimal value. It is the hex number FF269D. So how do we handle that? We want to do an if on a hex. Did you guys figure this out? You have to tell it it's a hex by 0x, like that. 0x in front of it tells Arduino what is coming is a hexadecimal number. All right. So now let's download this. And with a little luck, we should see forward when we come here. All right. So now we will Call up the serial monitor. And wasn't pointing good. Now this is curious. Okay, it is not going in there. Did I put that in there right? 0 cross FF 269D, and then I say serial print line forward. So I am not getting in here even with that. And I use 2 equal signs. Man, this is perplexing me now. So I understand the 2 mistakes you guys probably made, but I'm not understanding why this is not getting in there. Oh, because I wrote this, me and my dyslexia. Did you guys catch that? Me and my dyslexia. It's not. I wrote this down wrong. And I am, in fact, dyslexic. And that makes it kind of hard sometimes to be a programmer. It was 629D. 629D. You guys were probably screaming at me. You were probably screaming at me. So now let's try it. Let's go 629D. And let's download that. I wonder if I made mistakes on those other ones as well. Okay, so now let's see if we get inside the if statement. Okay, yeah, you see forward. And then I'm still getting this FF, which just means it's seeing a repeat key because I haven't put the delay in. I'm not putting the delay in because we're really going to call something that goes out and does things. So we're not going to need the delay once we get our motor control in. Okay, now we don't want to print forward. Well, we can print forward, but what we really want to do is we want to go forward, the command forward. And what parameters did forward want? Forward wanted the distance and the velocity. And so we're going to pass it distance and velocity. Now we defined velocity up here as 1.2 feet per second, but we never told it what d was. So let's just set that here. D is equal to 1 foot, because I think that's what the homework was. All right, so now I do believe what will happen is that when it sees that FF629D, then it will call the forward, and it should go forward a foot. And so what I want to do now is I want to download this. I want to come back over to our robot view. And now this time I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to lift it up because I don't want it to drive off the table. I turn it on, and now let's call up the serial monitor. Okay, and now let's see. Boom! Okay, forward. Look at that. I'm still getting that repeat key, so I will need to adjust that a little bit. I think the way I can fix that is that after all of the nonsense, I will cut this. I don't want to turn the listen on again until after it's gone through the motor business. And so let's see where we are here. This is the end of the if statement. And so let's see if I put that resume here, if that will work better. Okay, try to give you a view of it. And then let's open up the serial monitor, because we really don't want that repeat key in here. Okay. Yeah, that is working great. You see that? Okay, so we got forward going. Now, I think what I will do at this point is I will just start coding, because we kind of see that we're doing things right, unless I had another dyslexic moment. But let's go ahead, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take what we just did, which is the if statement and the close of the if statement, and let's copy that. and then we will want to do, that was forward, and then we will want to do one for backwards, and then I'm going to paste again for left, and then I'm going to paste again for right. Okay, so the first one is forward. This one we will make backwards, which if I got this right, it will be FFA 857. Okay, and then what we want to do here is we want to say backward, and then what we want to call is we want to call backward, and then backward will want the D, the distance, and V, the velocity. Okay, and now this one is going to be FFC 23D, and then that is going to be right. And then what does right want us to send? Or it's turn right, isn't it? It's turn right wants degrees in WV. So we'll come back up here. And where were we? Forward, backward. This one is going to be turn right. And then it wants, I forgot what I said. It wants degrees in WV. So this would be degrees, and WV is right value, and right value we calculate at the top, right? Right value we calculate right here. But do we have a degrees declared? Degree rotation is what we said. And let's just set that equal to 90 up here. And then down here, let's pass it degree rotation. And then we will say right. And then this one we will make left. And then that one, the left is going to be FFC 22DD. And then this is going to be turn left now. And that will be degree rotation. And then that wants right value. All right. I'm going to turn this thing off so it doesn't drive off. And then let's just see if it'll even download. Okay, it looks happy. But let's at least see, and I will go back here to kind of the main view so you can see this better. Let's see. I'll come up here like this, and I'll hold it up where hopefully you can see it. Okay, so we're just basically looking to see if we can get four different things, and so I'm going to try with the forward, and I'm not getting anything. Let's see. Okay, let's look. Okay, they're all going the same way. They're all going the opposite way. They're going opposite each other. Okay, and left doesn't work, and so maybe I wrote down left wrong. Did I write down left wrong? If I did, you guys have absolutely probably been dying over there. Let me call up the serial monitor. And we will get the serial monitor popped up here in just a second. There it is. Okay, so now I need to look at what left is. Left didn't do anything. FF22DD. FF22DD, but I'm not getting in the left. Oh, FF. There is no C there. FF22DD. All right. So I think this one I'll just test left, and then it should be good. All right. So let's see if we can hit it with the left. Okay, and the right. All right, guys. So we have this thing down in there, and I am going to go over now, and we will go to the RoboCam, and we will see if we can make this thing go. All right, guys. Okay, we have turned it on. And we expect it to go a foot forward. Hold your breath. Hold your breath. Shazam! Did you see that? 1 foot forward. Let's see if we can do it again. 1. Look at it. This thing is nailing it. Come back now. Don't go too far. Come back. It doesn't want to come back. There it goes. Okay, it like wasn't getting the back signal. Let's try that again. Okay, let's see if we can bring it back. Okay, coming back, I've got to be kind of mindful to really be pointing at it. It seems like it's having more trouble getting that signal. So let's go up 3. Let's go forward 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's do a right turn. Let's do a right turn. Okay, do you see how now the window is pointing away from me? The little eye is pointing away from me. And so it's not getting the right signal. So now if I come over here, it'll get it. So I got to be behind it. Let's try the left and see if left works. Okay, left works. Right works. And let's see if we can drive it back. Okay. All right, guys, this has been pretty fun, and I think there's something like really cool that you're learning here. And let me go back to this view. I think this is a good view. Let me call this back up. Let me put this over here. Okay, so we'll look at it, and I'm going to turn it off. But this is what I want you guys to see, and you probably would not. Some of you guys have kind of gotten ahead of me, and you got the thing put together before I did, and you probably got this out and started playing with it, and you probably thought it didn't work very well. But what I want you to see is that, like, if I am just right behind it, right, you see my hand back here, if I'm right behind it pointing at it, whoa, I thought I'd turned it off. We had a jailbreak there, man. Good thing it ran into the camera instead of driving off the table. But let's try that again with the motor off. So that's oh, and I got to plug the serial cable back in, the USB cable. Here we go. Okay, so what you can see is if I'm right here pointing at it, okay, now let's see if we got it. Okay, if I'm right here pointing at it, forward, 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 you see it works very well. So there's forward, there's left, left, right, right, backward, backward. Somewhere in there I'm printing out the rotation angle. That must be in my left and right commands. My turn left and turn right. I must be printing in there somewhere. Turn right. Yeah, you see I'm printing the degrees there, so I'll go ahead and take that out. because that is kind of confusing me. I'll take those prints out. Now download it. So if you guys just got this thing out of the box and started playing with it, you probably were getting frustrated with this little remote. But you see, if the remote, again, if I've got line of sight, and if I've got the remote pointing right at the, if I've got the remote pointing right at the little eyeball, it works pretty good, right? I've got a lot of windows I'm keeping up with here. Okay, so if I just am right pointing at it from right behind it, forward, 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 left, 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 right, 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 and then back, 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 back. It works great if I'm right on it. But now what I'm going to do is I am going to, you see, I am pointing towards the front, and the window is back here. The window is at the back. The window is at the back. The eye is at the back, and I'm pointing at it from the front. Okay, and so now if I point at it from here, you see it's getting erroneous signals. It is not getting the correct signal. It's almost like it's getting a backward signal. And that's why when the car drives off and turns around and points towards you, you don't get good readings. So let me show that again. You see back here, I get the FF629D that you want. Okay, but now if I turn the car around and I'm pointing it the wrong way, I get this 511DBB, or just random garbage. Okay, so what you can see is I love the Elegoo Smart Car. We are learning a lot. We learned how to interact with a remote. But what we learned is infrared IR is optics. It's like a little flashlight. And if I have something between me and the flashlight, the sensor isn't going to see it. And that is why you have to point right at the little window. Right at the little window. If I can get it to focus. Oh, let's see. I know how I can make that focus. Give me just a second, because this is kind of important. There it is. Okay, you have to point right here at this, and if the car is turned this way, you're pointing at this metal case and the light isn't getting into it. And so there's really very, what would I say, the infrared remote is a great learning tool. Okay. It's a great tool to learn to program. It's a great tool to learn hexadecimal. We've learned a lot with these lessons, but practically you just can't do very much with this remote, okay? Because number one, it's very low power, so you're going to have just a range thing, and then you have to maintain complete line of sight with that little black eye, or it is not going to work. So we really would prefer some sort of RF solution. We would really prefer some sort of RF solution, because with an RF solution, you don't have to be line of sight. You know, you are able to kind of come from any angle and go a greater distance. And so that's kind of like will be the direction we need to go in the future. But I wanted you guys to see this, because this is how the remotes work on a lot of television sets. And what your homework is, you guys go ahead and program this up. I want you to do things with these other keys, okay? I want you to do things with these other keys, like let's say, let me think, what would be something pretty neat to do? Let's say that if you hit the star, okay, if you hit the star, then I want you to set the speed, and the speed will be between 0 and 9. If you hit the star, then you hit the speed between 0 and 9. 9 is full speed, and 0 would be stopped. Okay, and then the second thing is, if you hit the pound key, then I want you to enter the distance that forward would be. Okay, so like if I said star 1, that would be slow. If I said star 9, that would be fast. If I said pound 1, that would mean I want to go 1 foot. If I put pound 9, that would be I want to go 9 feet. Okay, so star is speed and pound is distance. Now, if I hit star 1 pound 9, it's not going to do anything until I press forward. Then when I press forward, it's going to go at a speed of 1 slow, and it's going to go 9 feet. Does that make sense? All right, so what you're doing is with the star and the pound, you are going to then set the speed. So you're going to have to think about how to do those if statements. And then next week when we come in, we will actually program that up with you, and we'll see how that works. Because again, this is good. It's a good learning experience. You're kind of having to think through the coding. And then after that lesson, that will be lesson number 12. After that lesson, then we probably need to go to a non-infrared type of solution. Okay, guys, I'm having a lot of fun with this smart car. I hope you guys are learning. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're seeing why, if you just brought this out of the box with the CAN program, now that you've gotten in and written your own code, you kind of see why it doesn't work that well. Okay, guys, this is Paul McWhorter. I hope you guys will give me a thumbs up if you enjoy this video. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. When you subscribe to the channel, make sure that you ring the bell. You guys feel free to follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. Feel welcome to follow me there. I'm starting to try to do a little bit more on Twitter. Okay, Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.